All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm here with a band that is new to me, and I'm assuming fairly new to a lot of listeners as well. I was sort of looking up your bio and everything before we did this, and it seems like you're sort of fresh on the local music scene. So I think the best way to start this off is if the two of you who are here want to introduce yourselves and what you play in the band, and then a bit of background about who you are as a group and what you do.
For
Sure.
sure. Yeah, Drew, do you want to get going first?
Sure. Yeah. I'm Drew. I'm the frontman, singer, and one of the guitar players in Witch Hazel. We've been a band now for about a year and a half under this name.
Okay.
Really starting to ramp it up in 2024. Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, my name's Ben. I play bass. Holding on the low end. It's my thing. I love to do it, and it's been a good time to do it with this band. It's been a great group of guys, and we're excited to what's coming in the future.
Right on. And I mean, this is kind of the worst question that everyone hates answering, but I'm going to start off with it because, again, you're sort of a new quantity to me and to the show. But how do you define the sound of what you do? And the reason it's a shitty question is because everyone hates trying to pin it down like that, right? Everyone wants to think that their project is the most versatile and genre encompassing thing ever. But if you have like a Cole's Notes version of what it is you do, how you define it, what would you say?
Geez, I
Jeez.
say we just try to have fun. We just try to make some loud noises in the basement and try to, have ears in the audience that will listen to us. I think we try to draw from as many inspirations as possible. Definitely leading to harder rock
Sure.
these days, but yeah, kind of finding that sound as we go.
Okay.
Yeah, like when we first started, we were very indie sounding. We definitely have some tracks that really sound like that. And lately, I don't know what it is, but we've been writing a bit more heavy stuff. Not like metal, but just like
Sure.
rockier stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
But as I'm sure you saw in our bio on our website, like we have I think 4 or 5 influences listed there, and they're very random.
Yes, it definitely seemed like that. That's why I guess kind of another reason for asking this question too.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, how do you sort of coalesce all of those things into one sound?
Mhm. I think we take more of like we take a lot of maybe like harmonic guitars and stuff like that from Allman Brothers. But
Okay,
then kind of like sort of the heavier guitar tones of Neil Young, especially off tracks like Cinnamon Girl or Ohio, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but then kind of the lyricism and storytelling that Peach Pit kind of likes to do.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like a mix. You're mixing like older influences, obviously, and then more recent stuff as well, which is
Yeah.
yeah,
And like I'm sure in the tracks that we sent you, they sound quite different, like genre wise, even to some
sure,
degree. And I remember at the start when we first started writing songs, myself in particular was like almost like insecure that they were so different. But
right.
now I've kind of come around to them. Like, no, I think that's actually a good thing because
Mhm.
we're just like taking everything we have in the back pocket and using it.
Yep.
As a new band, is that sort of nebulousness? Does has that helped having that difficult to define thing where you could, like you said at the beginning? I mean, you had that kind of indie vibe and now you're moving more into the harder rock stuff, and then you have these classic rock influences and everything like that. Have you found it's helped as far as getting shows, as far as sort of placing yourselves within the local music scene, just having that difficult to define sound?
It's definitely been a challenge. I feel like we don't haven't fit a niche specifically within Winnipeg yet. I feel like we're doing it. It may be a little bit different. I hate to come off as a little bit presumptuous there, but I feel like we are doing stuff slightly differently to what a lot of people in the scene are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that to some degree for sure.
Do you think
I,
you've sort of figured out where you fit? I mean, are there other bands, I guess, at this point that you've played with or you've seen at local shows that you think, okay, what they're doing would go well, whether you play with them or not? I guess with what we do. Has that come up
yeah,
at all?
definitely. But it's also like, oh, like that one song that we have really fits with these guys, or like that one
Right.
song that we have fits with them. Out of all the bands we played with, like we were playing with Synthetic Friend on the 14th of June. Um, and I don't think we played with them before, Ben?
Nope. And
They're
we've been
gonna
to
yeah,
four
okay,
other
we haven't.
shows.
Yeah, we played some of them are in another band that we've played with.
Okay.
Um, and I've seen them 3 or 4 times now. I'm like, man, these guys would be sweet to play with. And they're not necessarily like the same vibe as us, but it's almost like a
Yeah,
two
ketchup and
sides of the
mustard
same coin.
like
Yeah.
go well together. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I guess I mean, and the reason I asked that question, I realize also, like, being a relatively new band, that's harder to define too. If you've been around for 10 years, I mean, you sort of have you know where you fit, right? You've
Yeah.
developed your sort of your audience, your people, the bands that fit with you. But I guess like, well, first of all, this band's been around for what you said, what, a year and a half or so.
A year and a half under this name,
So
yeah.
that's coming in sort of right after the pandemic. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of leeway between when things were really bad and when you started your band, but um is this like was any part of this a pandemic project, or is this something that started strictly after things were finished and shows were happening again and that kind of stuff?
It kind of started off just like we wanted to put on a party after the pandemic, after things had loosened up.
Okay.
Just started off as like, hey, we're going to play some covers, we're going to play to some friends and just like do this. It kind of has sprouted into now a legitimate project where we were writing songs and then recording music.
Yeah.
So it sprouted from a point of, oh, let's just try to get people together again, to where we're at now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned recorded music. I mean, that's kind of why we're doing this now, is that you have music that's pretty much set to come out. I know you've done the thing that people do now, where a single comes out ahead of time and you sort of hype people up for the release. But what can you tell
Yeah.
me about the record that's imminent at the time we're recording this?
A long time coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, like we've been sitting on these songs now for maybe about a year. And our drummer Christian was always the one who was like, hey, we need to wait, we need to really polish them before we get into the studio. We don't want to jump the gun on it or anything like that. Um, and I'm very glad that we listened to him because I think he was very right. There's some things we added here and there into the songs that
Mhm.
just give it that little bit 10% more. But yeah, we thought of the catalog that we have of songs, we thought these four would be a good four to start with.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, they hit pretty hard and they definitely reach. There's a good variety. There's like a little bit of something for everybody in all four of the songs. So thought it'd
Definitely.
be a good way to start.
Mhm.
Cool, cool. And then with these songs, like you said again just a few minutes ago, that they've been around for a while. You've been working on getting this EP together for some time. Did these
Yeah.
songs feel old to you now? Like at this point, now that you've spent so much time on these, are you ready to sort of move on to? Do you have new stuff in the works? And the reason I ask that now is because obviously you're going to want to play these songs a whole lot now that
Yeah.
they're being released, right? So has the sound shifted at all in the time between you sort of finally got this put together and then where you are now as a band?
Um, I think, yeah, so when we first wrote these songs, it's yeah, we had them kind of ready to what we thought was going to be good, and then playing them live, playing them, throughout rehearsal, having them evolve over time. I think the one thing that we're really looking forward to after releasing music is now having some time to write more music. Throughout the whole time, it was always, oh, like we're going to take some time off and write some more music. Oh, someone's offer us a show. Great, we need to take this. We're saving up for the EP for the
Yeah.
studio. And so I think now with that out and us, playing a good string of shows here, and it'll be nice to get back to writing music. I think that's something
Definitely.
we
Yeah.
really love and really enjoy. And it's a big part of why we play music in the first place. And yeah, we're all looking forward to getting back to that.
Yeah. Not tired of playing the songs yet though.
That's good.
And I think having them released and then playing them live might add a new dynamic to some degree. You might get the odd person in the crowd that actually knows the lyrics, which would be quite fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it's
Yeah,
also added pressure because now they can listen to the song and be like, oh, they messed up that solo or what have you. But
they can compare. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Well, and you're to avoid the genre thing. You're essentially a rock band, right? I mean,
Yeah,
does that work as a description?
yeah,
A
definitely.
lot of people I talk to on this show, like they're doing vastly different things. From like I could be talking to a death metal band or like an electronic thing or a country singer or whatever.
Sure.
I imagine that you guys, being the type of band you are and listening to the recordings, that you can probably pull off fairly faithful versions of those songs on stage, right? Is there anything that you can't do from the recorded versions to the live setting, or does anything change, structurally or anything like that?
Not
Not
really. I
really.
mean, like,
The
there's a
only
little
thing,
bit of keyboard.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just finding someone that would want to play keys at this point, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could probably survive without it for a few shows, but if like, people start saying like, "Oh, I love the keyboard bit in that one song," then yeah, I'd consider it. But and like we layered guitars, but I mean like
Yeah.
everybody does that. So as long as like live versus recorded is such a different like sound. So I think we've practiced them enough that they'll definitely hit home. So
Yep. Yep.
Do you think that there's a I mean, obviously, like we just finished saying, that you can play them fairly faithfully. It's not going to be that much different
Yeah.
from live to recorded version. But as far as the energy and like, I mean, when you guys play live, does that get ramped up? Are they faster? Are they heavier? Are they, louder? That kind of thing. I mean, louder, obviously, but does the sort of the emotion behind them change at all when you're in a live setting versus sitting down and sort of meticulously recording them?
Yeah, I think that's just the nature, the way it is playing live. Like
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen anybody get such a stank face playing live as Ben does when he's playing bass.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's
Yeah, I got that.
no, it's great. It's not bad at all. It's like the
Mhm.
best thing. Everybody, at least after every single show, at least one person comments on it. And it's like, yeah, the guy's just living life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And feeding off the energy of the crowd too really
Yeah.
feeds the energy of the songs and the
Yeah.
music. So yeah.
Yeah. Playing fast. Yeah, I think that's just what happens when you play live too. You get the nerves and you
Definitely.
just
Mhm.
increase the BPM a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. You can't help it, right? It's just yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there pressure on the stank face now? Now that, I mean, especially now that you're sort of people recognize it in you, and now it's been talked about in a podcast. People would be looking for it. Like, I imagine it's just something that happens naturally when you're playing, right?
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's on par with like Joe Walsh or like Santana.
Mm,
You don't agree?
maybe in a few, maybe after a few more tours.
Yeah, yeah, right on. So you put out some music already. I mean, this is coming out. What's the release date of the EP actually?
May 28th.
May 20th. So this, I mean,
Yeah.
by the time people hear this, it'll be out. You can get it right away. But leading up to the release, I mean, you've done the single thing. What has the
Mhm.
response been to the stuff you've put out already at the time we're recording this?
Pretty surreal, I guess. Like we didn't really know how to do marketing or like even just planning content or anything like that, or even using a distribution service. Like this was
Yeah,
all new to us. And so there's a lot of learning and a lot of stress going in behind it. Um, but downloading the Spotify for artists and like just seeing all the analytics, it's pretty interesting because like just the other day I was looking, I'm like, oh, there's a listener in Los Angeles and like New Zealand and the
yeah.
Netherlands. I'm like, how does that even happen?
How did they
It's,
find you?
it's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I guess that's something that hasn't. I mean, I haven't played in a band in more than a decade now, and I mean, there was a little bit of that then, but even in that short amount of time, I mean, the amount of extra stuff you have to do being in a band, you have to be your own publicist, you got to be doing all the marketing, all the social media stuff, looking
Yeah.
at the analytics, all of that. Did you have any idea how much of that would be part of being in a band? Because it's not just making music anymore, right? There's this whole, especially if you're doing it all independently in DIY, there's this whole
Yeah.
other side of things.
Yeah,
What has it
I
been
think
like?
I think it's been a great learning experience. It's been good to just like, dive in deep to something that you're truly passionate about. And doing all the nitty-gritty of what needs to be done. I think
Yeah.
it's really important part. It's a good life skill as well. So yeah, I've been enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are
it's
you?
definitely stressful though.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
but then you get the benefit of seeing things like, hey, there's this random guy in New Zealand who listened to
Yeah,
it somehow and somehow discovered it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
yeah. So if people are hearing about you for the first time on the show and they want to hear more, what's the best way to find your music? I mean, these days everyone's got music up on every streaming service known to man. But where would you send someone if someone wants to hear about you for the first time and check out what you're about, music, videos, things like that?
Probably just our Instagram. That's our most active thing.
Mhm.
Uh, at Witch Hazel WPG. We also have a website, witchhazelband.com. We're not as active on it, but it's more just like for show, I guess. There's the links, there's like YouTube, you can fill out an order form for our shirts and all that kind of stuff. But yeah,
But it works
anybody
well,
new,
kind of like a
yeah,
link almost kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Well, I was on there today, so obviously it worked. I
yeah,
was
it's
looking at your
good.
bio and stuff. So people do use it. About at least one. What's the at the time we're recording this, it's a podcast, so someone could hear it the day it comes out, or they could hear it like a year and a half from now.
Yeah.
I can't see myself ever stopping this apparently. So it could be 5 years from now, whatever. If you're still a band, what's the way for like I guess first question is, at the moment we're recording this, do you have anything planned in the relatively near future as far as shows? So if someone's listening to this end of May, beginning of June, is there anything coming up that you want to plug that they could check out live?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'd say the big one is June 14th, the Handsome Daughter. We're gonna be having the EP release show. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the big one.
partnered with Real Love on that one.
Oh, cool.
Mhm.
So that's really exciting. I think that's our second show with them. First time we were like headlining with them.
Mhm.
And yeah, like I mentioned before, we're playing with Synthetic Friend and Cerulean Drift. So yeah,
Okay.
it should be a really, really good show. Yeah.
And then as far as future shows, again, if someone hears this at some future time, is the Instagram the best place to go to find out where you're playing and what's going on with that?
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Like most people these days, Instagram is like the number one
Right.
hub for everything. So yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
is this strictly a digital release, or are you doing physical copies as well?
Digital for
Digital?
sure. Yeah. Physical is don't have the cash for that yet, unfortunately. But and I think just for I mean it's a small first release, so I think a physical medium wouldn't necessarily hold to some degree.
Okay, I'm always curious about that because I'm old and set in my ways, and I don't have any streaming subscriptions, and all I listen to is
Okay.
tapes and records and CDs because I can't. It doesn't matter. I've talked about this at length on other episodes, but I always wonder because I mean it is definitely it's possible to just release something completely digitally, and you don't need to do that anymore, right? I mean we're in an era
Yeah.
where it's not even that unusual
Mhm.
to just
It's
do digital only.
standard. Yeah, it's status quo at this point. Yeah.
What is what's your experience just as music listeners as far as that? Are you both sort of very much in the digital streaming realm?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Like,
the occasional time throw on some old vinyl, but
yeah,
it's it just everyday use. Put it on the car, go to the gym. It's streaming.
yeah. I'm ashamed to say that Ben and I are both on Apple Music and not on Spotify. So I feel like a lot of people might get after us for that.
Well,
But
the good thing is you're talking to me, and I don't know how to use either of them. So
okay, there you go.
one of them's as good as the other. It doesn't matter to me. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So what is the name of the EP so someone can look it up if they are trying to find it?
It's called Casarosso. Casarosso.
Awesome.
Yeah.